Welcome to your Monday. I'm Jay Cleveland Payne, aka your Mr. Monday, and this quick bit of motivation and inspiration was originally published on October the 11th, 2021. The original message goes as follows. Cookbooks are not published to be sold as picture books or torrid romance novels. Cookbooks are meant to be reference books at worst, instruction manuals at best. So going deeper into this message, this is one I wish I would have really worked on and changed the back end of that to say for the instruction manuals at best part, because they really aren't meant to be instruction manuals. But I just went in and left it because it's good for I think for the reference, for the contrast, for our reference at worst and manuals at best. What are cookbooks? A cookbook is a book full of recipes that you can cook. Now, the reference part of the cookbook is also a kind of a stamp in time of how people do or did things. Especially if you get like a cookbook that's supposed to be like a Southern cooking book, or a Inuit cooking book, or a authentic Italian cooking book. Something that's meant to really go deep into the art of cooking in the style that you're looking to, or in the culture you're looking to, or the time. There are different ways we cook now than we did in the past. It's been generations since the microwave became something that were in everyone's home. It's been generations since electric stoves were something in everyone's homes, and generations since we stopped cooking over open fires out in the yard. It's not quite been a generation, but I know my wife is in love with our air fryer, and cooking in the air fryer is something that happens a lot in our home. So the way we cook, the way we use those tools have changed. And because cookbooks are what they are, they show you how to turn raw food into cooked food, into meals that are hopefully great. They can be used for that. They are instruction manuals that they give you step-by-step instructions on how to start from the raw to the finished beautiful dish. They are reference books, as they can tell you how to do certain things. If you don't necessarily need a full recipe, you just need to know how to do a certain technique, what a certain item is. If you want to know what they used back in the day instead of what, if you're going to do substitutions, you can look for the cookbooks and see what was used in the past and try to figure out what you can use now that is either healthier or safer or cheaper, whatever it is you're trying to replace it with or substitute it for whatever reason. But cookbooks aren't the best for actually getting like real knowledge. Yes, there's pretty pictures in a cookbook and they're good to look at, but they're not extremely entertaining just looking at pictures of pies, unless you are really into pictures of pies. And they're not all that well at telling stories. Now, granted, people do write books that have stories inside of them about the recipes and about things going on, but it's not like picking up a thriller and trying to figure out if the spy will live, or an example, a romance novel to figure out how the two who should be together will find a way together, or a sci-fi opera where you'll figure out how they can make up those weird and just nonsensical tools and gadgets, and wonder if we'll ever have them in our home. You will see in the cookbook how to take a ham, trim the ham, put it in the pan, glaze it over, stick it in the oven for a certain amount of time, and get a cooked ham. That's what cookbooks are for. Going beyond the idea of cookbooks, just think about the tools and the utility of the tools it is that you use. Tools are meant for specific tasks. I have a message coming sometime around next year, I guess, because it was written and put in there into the queue, essentially saying that you can use a wrench as a hammer, not a very good hammer, but you can't really use a hammer for a wrench because that's not what they're designed for. A cookbook is not designed to really give you entertainment value, although maybe you can be entertained by it. But it's designed for showing you how to cook. That's where the real value comes from. The cookbook designed to show you how to make a thing. If learning how to make a thing is entertaining without actually doing it, then more power to you. But it's in that way, it actually is fulfilling its job of showing you how a thing is made, even if you don't go to the utility of it. It is not meant for true entertainment. It's not meant for deep down reference. It's not meant as a guide to life, just a guide to cooking. So think about that when you're thinking about the overarching higher level things that you use every single day and how they're being used and how they're being not used. Are you using your tools effectively? Are you abusing the tools that you use? Are you trying to get away with something in a role that it should not be used in just because it's the only thing that's conveniently there and you don't have the time or just too lazy to go get the real tool? I own a couple of cookbooks, but in reality, most of my recipes I get come from the internet because cookbooks take up space for other things. And most recipes are actually sort of suggestions, except for certain things that must be done to make it authentic if you care about authenticity. Baking is precise, baking is science. Most cooking is just about taste and palate, and so you can do it the way you want to anyway. So it's not necessarily a hard rule to get that as well. Had to throw it in there. Every time I talk about cooking, I have to throw in the fact that cooking and recipes are basically suggestions and not necessarily the rule. But remember, for this message, if you're looking for something to entertain for the afternoon, sure, you can flip through a cookbook and look at pictures of pies, but you'd probably want to get something with more of a story, a better plot, or more detailed parts of history that can give you something to really learn from. Although I will admit to looking up Wikipedia articles on various cooking methods when I do have the time. Cookbooks are not published to be sold as picture books or torrid romance novels. Cookbooks are meant to be reference books at worst, instruction manuals at best. This original message was published on October 11th, 2021 from Welcome to Your Monday. For more messages like this one, plus books, merchandise, and other information related to this project, visit the website, welcometoyourmonday.com.